Therapists are trained to listen, to absorb trauma, to sit with darkness, to keep secrets. But there is a line, one that, once crossed, can never be This is the story of a therapist who heard too much and chose to stay silent. It began like any other case. A new patient, mid-30s, soft-spoken, well-dressed. He booked his first appointment under his real name, paid in advance, and arrived early. No visible signs of distress, just a calm man looking for help. Dr. Eleanor Hart had been practicing clinical psychology for over 20 years. She specialized in trauma, anxiety, and compulsive behavior. She had heard confessions before. Affairs, abuse, addiction. Nothing prepared her for this. The patient didn't start with violence. He spoke about stress, isolation, a sense of being disconnected from the world. Classic symptoms. Then, midway through the fourth session, his language changed. He stopped speaking in metaphors. And instead, he said something very precise. I need to tell you about something I've done. Dr. Hart followed protocol. She didn't react. Didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. She simply asked him to continue. He described a death. Not emotionally. Not dramatically. Clinically. He explained where it happened. How long it took. How he felt afterward. Relief. Therapists are trained to assess credibility. Was this fantasy? Was this delusion? But this wasn't abstract. The details were too grounded. Too specific. He wasn't asking for forgiveness! He was asking for understanding. Dr. Hart's heart rate increased, but her voice remained steady. She asked a single question. Is anyone in immediate danger? He shook his head. No, he said. Not right now. That answer mattered, because legally, it changed everything. In most jurisdictions, therapists are bound by confidentiality unless there is an imminent threat. Past crimes no matter how serious are protected. And he knew that. Over the next 6 months, he kept coming. Every week. And every week, he revealed more. There wasn't just one victim. There were 3 different cities. Different years. Always strangers. Always unconnected. Dr. Hart documented everything carefully, vaguely, defensively. No names, no addresses, no dates. Enough to protect herself, not enough to stop him. At night, she stopped sleeping. She replayed sessions in her head, wondered if she had misunderstood, hoped quietly that he was lying. But then one day, the news confirmed it. A cold case reopened. Details released to the public. Details that matched his words exactly. That was the moment Dr. Hart realized something devastating. She was no longer just a listener. She was a keeper of secrets that could destroy lives. She consulted a lawyer. Quietly. Hypothetically. The advice was clear. If there's no imminent threat, and no identifiable future victim, you are legally bound to confidentiality. Breaking it could end her career, and possibly put her in prison. The patient sensed the shift. He smiled more. Relaxed. Almost relieved. In one session, he said something she would never forget. You know, he said. You're the only person who truly knows me. That was not a compliment. It was a warning. The final session came without notice. He canceled future appointments. Paid cash. Stood at the door and said, I think I'm done now. 2 months later, a body was found. Same pattern. Same precision. Same silence. This time, the victim was recent. Public. Undeniable. And suddenly, there was an imminent threat. But it was already too late. Police reviewed therapy records during the investigation. Dr. Hart cooperated within the law. Redacted notes. General language. Nothing actionable. Nothing provable. The killer was never caught, but Dr. Hart never forgave herself. She resigned the following year. Left clinical practice. Moved to a small town where no one knew her name. In rare interviews, she speaks carefully about ethics, about boundaries, about impossible choices. She never says his name. She never says what she knows. But she ends every lecture with the same sentence. The most dangerous secrets aren't the ones people hide from the world. They're the ones they're allowed to confess without consequences. Somewhere out there, a killer walked free. Not because no one knew, but because the rules said knowing wasn't enough. And every night, one therapist lives with the question that has no answer. At what point does listening become complicity?